Welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Bhargav Krishnanandhavani, Assistant Professor in Ganpat Patsikar College of Education, Harmal, Goa. We'll study the Unit 7 nuclear energy. In that, we will study neutron-induced fission, chain reactions, mass yield in asymmetric fission. So, outline of this will first we will study the neutron-induced fission, then mass yield in asymmetric fission, and also the chain reaction. So, at the end of this module, students will be able to define what is this neutron-induced fission, then explain chain reaction and mass yield in the asymmetric fission. So, nuclear fission is breaking off a heavy nucleus into two or more parts. Now, fission can occur spontaneously as a phenomenon of natural radioactivity, or it can be induced, resulting in a particular kind of a nuclear reaction. Now, according to Bohr-Wheeler theory, which was studied in the previous modules, a heavy nucleus will undergo fission if the excitation energy of the compound nucleus is greater than the activation energy. And this excitation energy can be supplied in many different ways. One of the best way to produce a fission artificially is by bombarding the nucleus with the particles of certain kinetic energy. This kind of fission is called as induced fission. When the incident particle is a neutron, the process is known as a neutron-induced fission. The advantage of using neutron is that the neutron does not have any charge, so it does not experience the Coulomb barrier of the nucleus, because neutron is an electrically neutral particle. So the probability of this neutron-induced fission reaction to take place depends on energy of the incident neutron. When we can classify these neutrons in groups according to their energy ranges. So most important categories are these two categories, which are the fast neutrons and slow neutrons. So slow neutrons, we'll see first. Neutrons with kinetic energy of the order of few electron volts are called as slow neutrons. If the neutron energies match with the energies of the surrounding atoms, they are called as thermal neutrons. And generally, it is found that nuclei with odd nucleon number, like uranium 235, plutonium 239, they undergo fission with thermal neutrons itself. Such type of nuclei are called as fissile nuclei. Let's see what is fast neutron. Neutrons with several, which have kinetic energies of the order of several mega electron volts are called as fast neutrons. Nuclei having even nucleon number like uranium 238, they undergo fission with only with these fast neutrons. Such type of nuclei are called as fertile nuclei. Let us see what is this mass yield in asymmetric fission. Now, in the previous modules, while discussing about the liquid drop model, symmetric fission was considered for simplicity, but experimental results indicate that asymmetric fission is more probable. Consider a fission which results into two massive fission fragments having equal and opposite momentums. These fission fragments are neutron rich, and the neutrons are too many, so they want to be stable. So each fission fragment may emit two or more neutrons within a period less than of 10 raised to minus 15 seconds. These emitted neutrons are called as prompt neutrons. So on an average, three neutrons are emitted per fission of a uranium. Here is the equation. So this is uranium 235. When a slow neutron or a thermal neutron is incident onto it, it becomes uranium 236, which is a compound nucleus and highly unstable. It breaks into barium 143 and krypton 90, plus 3 neutrons are released, and energy is released. But the stable isotopes of barium is barium 138, and stable isotope of krypton is krypton 86. So this barium 143 and krypton 90 then undergo several steps of beta decay to get rid of the extra neutrons and reach to the stable nuclei, which is barium 138 and krypton 86. So the mass distribution of these fission products, now in this case it was fission products were barium and krypton. Okay, so the mass distribution of fission products is shown in a very convenient way in form of a fission yield curve in which percentage of different products are plotted against the mass number. So the term fission yield, which is represented by this, is defined as the number of nuclei of mass number A formed in a fission divided by the total number of fissions that occurred in the sample. Okay, this 100% is because it is a percentage. Here I have written it in a short form where Na is the number of nuclei of mass number A. Okay, and this is the total number of fissions that occurred. Okay, so this mass yield is in the nuclear fission is the sum of all the independent fission yields of nucleides having the same mass number. The yield of any of given mass, yield of any given mass can be found by measuring the abundance of that long-lived nuclei near the end of the chain reaction or after reaching to a certain stable end product. The yield curve for fission of uranium-235 is shown in this figure. The most probable value of the masses we can see here is, this is the probability or this is the percentage of that particular nuclei with that mass number A. So we can see that the most probable values of the mass number, here is the mass number and here is the fission yield. Okay, the most probable value of the mass number of two fission fragments are around 95 somewhere here and 139 somewhere here. Okay, this corresponds to the atomic mass numbers nearly Z equal to 42 and Z equal to 57. We can see from this curve, which is an experimental curve, that the yield is minimum for mass number somewhere 117, which corresponds to a symmetrical fission. Here Z corresponds to a number 50, that is corresponding to a magic number and fill nuclear shell. So we can see here the mass yield is minimum. So for uranium, this asymmetric fission is more probable. Let us study about the chain reaction now. In uranium-235, neutron-induced fission, the heavy nucleus splits into two smaller or medium mass nuclei, which are called as fission fragments. These fragments are radioactive and undergo several stages of beta decay, liberating neutrons. This equation we have seen in the previous slides. On an average, around 2.5 fast neutrons are produced in this process. This 2.5 fast neutron means it is an average. It's not that 2 neutrons and then half a neutron. It's not like that. If there are many fissions taking place in the say sample, and if we average out the number of fission per uranium nuclei, on an average we'll find it to be 2.5. It will be either 3 or 2, but on an average it will come to 2.5. So these neutrons which are released from the fission of uranium-235 now can induce fission in another uranium-235, which then will produce more neutrons. Now these liberated neutrons will then again induce fission into more uranium nuclei, and this will keep on continuing. This rapid scheme or sequence of fissions one after another is called as a chain reaction. So here is a schematic picture of it. So this is a uranium-235 nuclei. A neutron is induced onto that. So this is a neutron-induced fission. This breaks into fission fragments, these two fission fragments, that is barium and krypton. And there are on an average 3 neutrons which are coming out of it. So out of these 3 neutrons, these will hit onto some other uranium-235 nuclei to then again release the fission fragments and more neutrons. Then these liberated neutrons will induce fission in another uranium nuclei. So such type of scheme is called as a chain reaction. Here is the equation. Okay. So for uranium-235, if 1 neutron is induced, it will give out these fission fragments and 3 neutrons, and and energy will get released. An arrangement in which at least one of the neutron from this side, that is from these 3 neutrons, from the right hand side can be brought to the left hand side for another uranium nuclei, so that the reaction can be maintained on a continuous basis, is called as a chain reaction. Now every fission, okay, every fission which is occurring here, okay, neutron will hit onto this and then it will split into fission fragments and kill neutrons. This every fission releases around 200 mega electron volts, which is a huge amount of energy, and therefore this chain reaction will produce huge amount of energy in a very short interval of time. In nuclear reactor, this chain reaction is kept under control to produce the usable energy, whereas this uncontrolled chain reaction is the basis of the nuclear bombs. So in each fission, on an average 2.5 neutrons can be created, but not all of these neutrons will produce further fissions, as they will be lost in several processes. So we'll see here now different factors which are affecting the chain reaction. Neutrons may be absorbed in nuclei, causing reactions other than fission. For example, neutron may be absorbed by a process which is a radiative capture in a fissile nuclei, and it can be captured in some other impurities of the sample and so on. So in a chain reaction of say uranium-235, it can go unaided, okay, or smoothly only if the content of uranium-238, which is a fissile, which is a fertile nuclei, this content is reduced in the reactor. The neutrons may escape from the fuel. So if the fuel is having a less volume, the neutrons which are generated will be fast and they will escape out the sample. So this loss of neutrons from the surface from the fuel is a surface phenomenon. So they will escape to the surface of the fuel, whereas the reaction occurs in the volume. So by increasing the radius of the fuel assembly, say if we consider a spherical assembly or spherical reactor, by increasing the radius of the fuel assembly, we can make the volume of the fuel much greater compared to that of surface area, because surface area is proportional to the radius square, whereas volume of the sphere is proportional to the cube of the radius. Another important factor affecting the chain reaction is that the fission process critically depends on the energy of the incident neutrons. Neutrons at certain energies are more likely to produce fission than other reactions like radiative capture and all. In order to make the chain reaction diverge, that is, to increase the number of neutrons in every step, it is necessary to moderate their energies. So by having a moderator, which is a material which slows down neutrons, we can maintain and control the chain reaction. So this is it for this module. These are my references. See you in the next one. Thank you.